Yeah, I can understand that people are interested in that. And we saw Virgil was here. He's okay. But about when the surgery will happen and stuff like this, I don't think it makes sense that we give pretty much a time schedule every day. But it will be fine and will happen in the appropriate time. And so that's it pretty much. But he's as good as possible. Ajax and Sheffield United is the way they play is completely different, and Sheffield United deserves a lot of attention for what they do because they are really good in that. And even when the results were so far not exactly how they wished for, but the performances were not that bad. I'm pretty sure Chris Wilder knows that, and so. They will build on that, and that makes it for us tricky. And they had a full week to prepare the game, and with all the strength they have in set pieces anyway, they had time for working on that as well. So it will be a tough one for us, and like it always was against Sheffield, obviously, and that's why we are completely focused on this game and don't think about the general situation in the Premier League.
Regardless of the situation there and a couple of injuries that they've got to world-class players, I'm still not expecting anything less than an 100% performance from them, and one that we totally respect on that. So we all have to dig in, work a little bit harder, stick together, stick to our beliefs as a group, what has got us to this situation. Believe in the shape, even though we can tweak it now and again. The shape's been great for us, the system's been good for us. There is in that situation opportunities to change it in personnel. The biggest thing for me, which I said after the game, is the belief and confidence. Obviously doesn't get affected. I thought the first half was a really decent performance against Fulham. And stating the obvious, if we go in at half time up in the game, which we surely should have been, you know, that changes the atmosphere and the belief and confidence in the players in a heartbeat. But it wasn't the case, and obviously we have to go again on Saturday.
Obviously we'll start with Van Dijk, Glenn. We all know the effect it's going to have on Liverpool. They've changed the way they play slightly in terms of pushing higher up and trying to win the ball high up the park, and they're playing quite a high line. And I think that suits Liverpool because Van Dijk one-on-one situation because of his pace. You know, they can get away with it. Yep. So that completely, with him being out now for a lengthy time, that's going to maybe change the way they play. Fabinho might drop in there. Will they have to drop a bit deeper so not press as high? So much, it's a massive loss, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's huge. Like you say, I think that's one of the things that they've done so well, that they put the fear into the other team in terms of suffocating them in their own half and win the ball back very quickly. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see if they maintain that tactical decision without him. But yeah, it's going to be, those players just can't be replaced. And you just hope that, obviously it's a big injury, and you just hope they don't rush it, because you know yourself, it can be, you know, your knees, you've got to be careful, and he's such a big guy as well. You don't want him to be pressured to get back as fit as quick as possible. And
what did you make of the injury itself, Glenn, at the time? Did you think that the referee made the wrong decision not sending him off? And what is Jordan Pickford thinking there?
I think it's just a clumsy goalkeeper's tackle. I don't think he's meant to hurt him, but I definitely think it's a red card. Put it this way, if that tackle's on the halfway line, whoever it is gets sent off. But maybe for whatever reason the ref didn't see it, but it didn't look like he had done that much damage there.
Because he walked off the pitch.
He walked off quite, easy. He certainly won't stretch it off. So you would have been, the manager would be thinking, he's going to be okay or whatever. But obviously the scans tell you a different story.
So it's an ACL injury, Melissa. Could be up to around about 8 months, they're saying. Virgil van Dijk could be out for, which rules him out pretty much the rest of the season and possibly for the Euros as well. So a huge loss. You spend your life analysing Liverpool. So what do you think about what Robbie asked Glenn? Do you think that Jurgen Klopp will change the way they play?
I think there has to be a shift in approach, not just because Virgil van Dijk is absent, but at the moment Alisson is also missing. So you have now lost your transformers, the people who made your steely first approach make sense. And Liverpool were a very offensive team, and that changed, and they relied on their defence, and then they used the attack to hurt opponents. Whereas now that probably has to change again, where it's going to be offence first, because the strength in that team now lies in their attacking players again. In saying that, Fabinho is quite a progressive player, very good in the air, very good on the ball, great at tackling, great at reading the game. So with him, no one is ever going to be Virgil van Dijk, but you're getting some of the elements that you lose with Virgil. So that's at least a positive. The issue for Liverpool is Matip and Gomez have so many injury issues during the season that they're never available as often as you need them. And obviously in this situation, it's crucial that they are available. I think the other thing is, losing Virgil in terms of numbers is obviously massive because he stopped so many set-piece goals and goals from crosses. He's the Premier League's best in the air, best duel, but psychologically, the impact he has on the opposition always target the right because they do not want to waste their time going down his end. And now without him, opponents will be looking at Liverpool thinking, they're going to be susceptible in the air. We're going to have to get at them early, go direct. Now we can attack down the right and the left side. So it just goes so much deeper than the numbers.
In the full-back position, we see Robertson and Trent attack, and they both go at the same time because subconsciously they're probably thinking, do you know what, we can leave 2-on-2 because of Van Dijk. Maybe their philosophy might change now and thinking, right, do you know what, if I go, one full-back might have to stay because one-on-one situation, as Melissa said, you can't place the best centre-half in the world. Fabinho, if he's to play there, one-on-one.
I totally agree. And I mentioned it earlier. Obviously, I was attacking fullback, and when I was playing alongside JT, I didn't have to come back as far because I know he'll win the ball and I'll just stay in a higher aggressive position. But then you play with other centre-halves and you'll have to cover more, you have to tuck in. So I think you're right. I think it will alter their game in the sense that they will have to be reined in a little bit because, like you say, there'll be teams where, because everyone knows that they're both going to be high and sometimes at the same time. And the so-called smaller teams won't even be looking. They will just be putting the ball into the spaces that these guys leave. And like I say, some of them will fancy their chances one-on-one with Fabinho.
Because one player being out, as you say, Melissa, it affects the team, the dynamic of the team so much. So Fabinho would play as the 6. Obviously Thiago not being out. So Henderson, we've seen when he had his great spell playing as an 8, doing the press. So who plays that? With Thiago being out, who plays the 6?
Probably Wijnaldum now, but that is the issue. So Liverpool have had so many players do that role. Henderson himself do that role. Ideally, you'd want Fabinho there because there are very few better number 6s in world football than him. But I think in Liverpool's thinking, they're probably saying, okay, we still have an extra midfielder on the pitch, which helps their front foot play. But now with Thiago out, because part of Jurgen Klopp's thinking was, especially when they play against deeper defensive sides, he needed some variety in his midfield. And the idea was, okay, we'll bring Thiago in, and at times we can use Fabinho as a centre-half with Virgil van Dijk, just to give that different dimension. Now you don't have Van Dijk and you don't have Thiago. So Liverpool are having to endlessly find solutions. Matip didn't play in the Champions League game, so you don't know whether he's going to be fit for the weekend or how many games can he play in a row. There's all these things to consider, and we're talking at the top of the show about how wild the season has been so far. And I just think I look around at the top teams and they're probably absolutely hating it because the intensity means there's going to be so many more injuries, but it's so complicated with players testing positive for coronavirus and all these things that you're having to manage now that people would have no idea of how to deal with.
We know as well, Glenn, just how important momentum is, confidence is in football. Keeping a clean sheet in the Champions League in the week with Fabinho and Gomez at centre-back together will have given them a bit of confidence into this game. And are Sheffield United the perfect opponents for Liverpool to face this weekend, considering they've only scored 2 goals in their opening 5 games? If Liverpool win this game, again, a little bit more confidence, another clean sheet just takes them through and kind of might carry them through this injury phase.
I agree. Goals and winning games bring confidence, and I actually think with Fabinho playing centre half, of course you're going to miss Van Dijk, but I don't think he's going to be he's not going to look out of place at all. He's fantastic winning the ball, and these top teams, they're going to have the ball more times than not. And at Champions League level, it's more like international football in the sense that, you know, you're always going to be playing against a top team and they do sit off and let you have the ball. So to have Fabinho there that can, you know, make these passes and open up and even step into midfield and play there at certain times, I think it's going to work in their favour to a degree. Of course, you're going to miss Virgil, but I don't think it's going to be as damaging as people are saying, you know, in like these sort of weeks.
Sheffield United have had a really interesting start to the season. I don't think anyone really expected them to struggle this much, Mel. Why do you think that is?
Their underlying numbers are good and their performances have been good, and they just haven't been able. They haven't been able to get the ball over the line. And it sounds like such a simple thing, but it is the most important thing in football. Just score the goals, because when you are having, you know, your moments in the game where you're so positive, you're so progressive, you're aggressive, you've got the other team pinned in, and you're not making it count, that wears you down on the pitch. And what that also does is encourages the opposition, because they think, they've got they've had all these chances, they've got this possession, they've tried to hurt us, they can't, we'll sneak one. And that's pretty much what's been happening.
That's happened to Leeds when they went to Bramall Lane. You know, the keeper made 2 worldy saves, and then obviously Bamford with a header late on. So you're exactly right what you're saying. Yeah,
and so they've brought in Ryan Brewster, who's expected to start on Saturday, and that will help them because they've had injuries in attack. I
do feel for them at the moment, Sheffield United. I think at the moment they're suffering from, like, you know, the second season. You know, it's the first season you kind of get away with it. You can turn up with every game and just put on a performance, and not too much is expected. But now, obviously, teams have worked them out. They know that they're a threat, and teams have learned to deal with it and probably shown them more respect than they did last year.
All right, well, we'll get Robbie's predictions of Liverpool, Sheffield United and the rest of the matches.
0-0.